Are you ready for the best Kansas City Chiefs insight? Welcome to Four Guys in a Bar podcast, sponsored by Chiefs Blitz and presented by Dave Purdy with Supreme Lending. For your mortgage solutions, call Dave today at 816-405-5831. That's 816-405-5831 because he's pretty good. Here's your Chiefs Blitz host, Nick Athan, with Lou Montagna, Andre Tillman, and Hense Todd.
Welcome back to the next edition of Four Guys in a Bar, presented by ChiefsBlitz.com and our YouTube channel at Chiefs Blitz. I am your host, Nick Athan. Alongside me is my producer extraordinaire, Mr. Hense Todd of Bowtie Sports. You can check out his podcast every Saturday, 1 o'clock Central Time at Bowtie Sports. It's fun, it's entertaining, and it's definitely a must watch. So before we get on the show with Four Guys in a Bar and the Chiefs Blitz, I want to talk about one of our favorite sponsors, and that would be Mr. Eric Hense with the Eric Hense Group. If you're looking for a real estate professional, it's not only a big Chiefs fan, but also a guy that can walk you through the process of looking for a house, finding the right house, doing the contracts, going back and forth, which we're going through right now. And I'm telling you, it's a fun experience. And if I didn't have Eric Hense, a steady hand, it would probably make this situation a little bit more difficult. But he has been there every step of the way. So if you need a real estate advisor who you can trust, who's going to get you from finding your house to getting the keys to open your house, give Eric a call at 816-729-3785. That is 816-729-3785.
And proud sponsor, Chief.
That's it. And bringing in our other cohorts, Mr. Lou Montagna and Mr. Andre Tillman. Andre, nice to see you without a hat, man. You got hair. I'm
Absolutely.
Nice.
I had to let my hair breathe, Nick.
Nice.
Breathe, Nick.
Looks good.
Gotta let it down every so often, you know.
There you go. There it is.
There it is. So anyway, guys, it's a Monday. The NFL Combine starts today. There has been some Chiefs news we'll get into in a second, but first and foremost, I got to ask all three of you a question. What the heck have you been doing the last 2 weeks? Because I am missing football.
Oh man, listen. Go ahead, Bo.
Well, me, shoot. I've been watching these college tapes. I've been watching these college receivers, the DBs, these offensive linemen. Where I'm looking where I think the Chiefs probably go. I've been watching a little bit more of that, and also I've been studying more on sport in Kansas City and the Royals, because that's what's coming around here in Kansas City and the Kansas City Current. So mainly I've been watching this draft very heavily. I got a whole list. I'll be up at 3 in the morning. I know Nick gonna probably say you studied out. Not Nick, but Lou. Lou gonna say you studied all that film just to come up with this.
All that just to catch a pass.
Say we need somebody that's really fast.
Yeah,
but
really fast, can catch the ball.
That's what I've been doing. So you know, I'm gonna give some of my top 4 wide receivers that I.
Oh my gosh!
Nice. In the second round.
I've been catching up on my English-based TV series, mostly cop shows. You know, getting reacclimated to the English accent, all the actors, and just kind of the nuances of that whole genre. But in between, I do another show, Pros Like Us. I'm sure you guys all know about that. So we talk about just everything around the NFL. So again, like Hense was saying, in all seriousness, that's great that he does that, because then, you know, we get some insight into some of these players. But it's just trying to get that fixed, and then nothing is going to get you completely there, so to speak, because there's no games. So maybe the combine helps a little bit, watching the guys work out, but it's not the same. It's never the same.
Well, me on the other hand, I do the same thing Mr. Bowtie Sports do over here. I'm more depth in the detail into the defensive linemen, the punters, and the kickers of the draft that nobody talks about. Nobody talks about the kickers in the draft, right? So that's what I do. Now I talk about a little bit of everything with the draft, and I'm catching up on wrestling too. I'm a big wrestling fan, so I catch up on my wrestling too. So yeah, I do a play of everything. Like same thing with Bo was discussing about soccer, Sporting KC, or the Kansas City Royals. You know, just getting equipped with them. So, but again, yeah, I'm all draft. I'm draft bound, man. So
I got a question for you, Dre. You're a wrestling fan. Netflix will start showing, I think, Monday Night Raw starting next year at January. Yeah. How do you feel about that? I mean, is that?
I don't know how you're gonna do that though, because if it's on Netflix, I mean, it's not live. It's like
it's live.
It will be live.
No, they're doing live programming. Yeah, they do live programming now.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah, they've done other stuff, boxing matches, the SAG Awards.
Yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah, but I guess the bigger question is, I mean, do you go to the dress rehearsals for all these wrestling matches? Because it's all staged. Every bit.
I know. You know what's crazy? Nick.
I don't get it.
You know what's crazy
Come
about
on,
that?
Nick.
You know what's crazy about it, though, Nick? You know what's crazy? All these movies that comes out, it's all entertainment, just like wrestling is. So it's like we all here to be entertained.
So is the NFL.
Woo, hey man, hey.
I tell you, man. When I was a little boy, for those old enough to remember Municipal Auditorium, and Friday night, Saturday, I think it was Saturday Night Wrestling, and they repeated it Sunday morning live or tape delay. So when I'm a kid, I'm Handsome Harley Race, Danny Little Bear,
the Brody.
Yeah, just the old school guy, Handsome Harley Race. I mean, all these guys. My dad takes me down to this warehouse, and they're all my heroes, just in the gym, and they are practicing all these moves. And I looked at my daddy and I said, "Well, Dad, why are they practicing?" And he goes, "Well, it's not real; it's all fake." And I give Vince McMahon a lot of credit, because he has created until he sold the company, he's taken a good show and good theater and turned it into this massive event. But I've never understood it. But hey, it is what it is. So
you still got to work out.
It's like you got to work out. Hey, the bumps are real. It's just who's going to win.
Everything's predetermined.
Yeah, my era was Stone Cold, man, Undertaker, and all those guys.
That was a different era, man.
That was raw. That was like be yourself. It was raw. It was alive, uncut.
No, man.
It was
Rufus R. Jones. Even Ernie Ladd did wrestling for a while. Former Chiefs player.
Ernie Ladd. I know Ernie Ladd. Ernie Ladd was
good.
Good. The Butcher back in the day.
Yeah, one of my greatest childhood memories involved Ernie Ladd as a wrestler. Okay, so my grandparents, immigrants from Italy, they really sports wasn't a big deal, but at the time, Nick, you'll remember this name. There was a guy, Dominic DiNucci.
Yes,
he was from nearby where my grandparents were from.
Nice.
So this was like my grandfather. We were locked in on TV. Anytime Dominic was on, it was. So one time, I don't know, I can't remember exactly what led up to it, and it really wasn't real. But my grandfather didn't get that part where Ernie Ladd takes him and slams him into Gorilla Monsoon's little desk there,
right?
and he's just got blood all over his face. I've never seen my grandfather so pissed in my life. I don't know how old I was, probably about 10, and it was just the most horrific.
Oh yeah,
I don't know if we ever watched again.
No, yeah, the fake blood and the injuries, and in Kansas City had these two 80-year-old women. They were twins. They sat in the front row. They were the most famous set of twins in Kansas City history. In All-Star Wrestling, when it came on, they were front and center, and they were having a good old time. So those are the old days. Now we have. Everything's accessible. We can see most everything. Everything's done on a grander scale. But hey, I mean, listen, props to that community and that sport. And it is a sport, and it's entertainment, and that's what the NFL is too. Goodness.
All right, real quick, Kareem says Eddie Guerrero. Now, if y'all guys familiar with Eddie Guerrero, he's one of probably the best wrestlers, all around wrestlers in wrestling. Rest in peace. He's probably one of the best to do it.
Yeah.
But back in the day, I say this, back in the Attitude Era, like when Austin, The Rock, and Mankind, all them guys, you had adults invested into the Attitude Era because it was so raw, it was so uncut. Man, everybody tuned into it. I was like, that probably was the best time in wrestling. Yeah. Because everybody was tuned into it. It was relatable. You stun your boss. Stone Cold was stunning his boss. Like, we all wanted to stun our boss. Like, it was so relatable. So to me, the Attitude Era was great, man. It was great. It was awesome.
No, it was good stuff, and it continues to be. It's obviously very popular.
Next time you see Dre, Nick, you better watch out, man. It sounds like he's coming. He's coming with something.
Don't underestimate this dude, man.
Hello. Hello.
I am stronger than you think.
I got you.
So, what have you been doing, Nick?
You know what? I have just obviously been working on the house situation, and again, thank God for Eric Van, because it's just been crazy. It's Dave too, but yeah, I watched. I probably watched the Super Bowl, the AFC Championship game, the Bills game, and the Dolphins game probably about 5 times each. Just kind of rewatching, just to kind of marvel at what I saw and how crappy this team looked 3 weeks before, or 3 weeks before the playoffs began, and they're friggin' Super Bowl champs, man. And I just it's still, I'm just absolutely amazed. I'm just amazed at that. So I've been doing that. I'm selling some of my collectibles. I can't take everything with me to the new house, so I'm going to start letting some fans and some friends of mine get a hold of some prized possessions. But other than that, guys, this March is coming up. March is my favorite time of the year. It's my favorite month in sports. It's the free agency. It's the hoopla leading up to the draft. It's the Final Four. Jayhawk, man. Yeah, it's the tournament, the NCAA basketball tournament. To me, there'll be no show on the Friday of the second day of the NCAA tournament, because I'll be stuck in my tube and I'm gonna be watching as many games as possible. I just love this. At the beginning of baseball for the Royals, Hense and I are going to be doing some work for the Call newspaper covering the Royals this year, so it'll be kind of fun to be able to expand that a little bit. And at some point, we'll get into some of the other sports. We'll have plenty of time in the off season to do so, but just kind of catching up on all that. And again, really appreciative of the fact that I'm still kicking in an era that, I'm in the midst of the Patrick Mahomes, phenomenon. And
everybody want to draft a quarterback like your quarterback.
It ain't gonna matter,
man.
And you know what? At the bottom line is this: he's our guy. Enjoy it while it lasts. You all can just kiss our what. And for those fans out there who are bitching about he and Kelsey and the boys partying it up, that's all I got to say. Let these guys be themselves. They're enjoying themselves. They've earned it. They've done something that hasn't been done in 20 years. And
we'll be doing that correct.
And to the Kansas City Star, who's written 2 columns now that are completely inappropriate at every level about the incident that happened. The incident that happened a couple of weeks ago, unfortunately, and the article they put out today. I don't know what happened. Thank God we work for the Call, because I could never work for the Star. There's just no way. Anyway, on to fun stuff. What's on the show today, Mr. Todd?
It's the newspaper war. I didn't say it, Nick.
I did. I challenge right now. Read the Call. It's a lot better newspaper than the Kansas City Star. And I got some people over there at the Star I actually really like. But yeah, their advisory board and their advisory columnists, or whatever they call themselves, they have no business being. They're not journalists, and it's terrible what they're doing. Okay, I'm done. My soapbox.
You're good. So go ahead.
Miracle on Ice celebration on the 22nd. If anybody missed it, beating the Soviets. Cheers.
So Kareem said, "Wait, we need to do a live mock draft," and I'm with that. I'm down to do that for the mock draft. But also, speaking of that, it's everybody said Andy Reid's retirement. It's not true, because he's about to get a contract extension that we're just out here just getting heard of. People. The rumor is that he's going to be the highest paid coach in an NFL. He deserves it. He deserves more than that. You know what I mean? He deserves it all. Andy Reid came in here to fix the 50-year draft of the Kansas City Chiefs fans, the old and the new. Not only winning 1, but winning 3. That is amazing. It's unheard of. is happy to see. So what you got to say about that, Luke? What you got to say about it?
Andy's the master negotiator, always kind of sloughing it off, really haven't thought about it. Nothing to see here. But yeah, worst kept secret, I guess, going. I mean, he was always going to re-sign. Right. Thank God there's no salary cap for coaches, because Spags is re-signed, Tobes re-signed, and now Andy's going to get his due. And I guess the bigger, I don't know if it's a bigger story, but and again, I don't know the numbers, but just some whispers that Brett Veach might be one of the lowest paid GMs in the league.
He's getting a raise too.
Just because he's so young is just the fact that he's getting his just due. And all these haters out there that we see constantly, the trolls on social media talking about Brett Veach, please. I mean, you just run with the previous comment and just kind of be me too. Like, I'm going to pile onto this thing. If you look at his track record, whether it's free agency, extending guys, moving on from guys, making tough decisions to make a trade, trading Tyreek Hill at the peak of his powers, and then winning 2 Super Bowls after that. Mm-hmm. Come on. The draft choices that he's hit on. Everybody wants to focus on the receivers that haven't quite worked out yet. But how about all the defensive players that led this team to 2 Super Bowls? Come on. Yep. Veach, he's earned it, and he deserves every penny he gets, and we're lucky to have him.
St. Clair says this real quick. He said Andy Reid retirement rumors were started by folks that didn't want the Chiefs dynasty to continue.
That's true.
And there's only one person that put out
or just rumor. pot stir.
Nick former boss.
My former boss, Michael Florio. Yes, at Pro Football Talk. And listen, I know where that all came from. That came from Bob Lamont, who's his agent. Bob wanted to throw things out there. So, Clark Hunt got the hint. I mean, I told you, I told everybody on the show 2-3 weeks ago that, he's getting a new deal. Now, the highest paid NFL head coach is Sean Payton at $18 million a year. I'm not quite sure he's going to get that much, but I think he's getting 10.5 now. He's going to get probably in the 15 to 16 million range would be my guess, plus incentives. Brett Veach is getting a new contract. He'll now become one of the highest paid general managers in the NFL. And what I find interesting about this spending spree from Clark Hunt, first of all, props for doing it. Steve Spagnuolo is now the highest paid defensive coordinator in the National Football League. Dave Todd is the highest special teams paid coach in the league. Joe Cullen is the most expensive defensive line coach in the NFL. Dave Merritt got a huge raise. The offensive side, those guys are still under contract for a little bit longer, so you may not see extensions on that side till after this next season.
They're a lot younger too, right?
But they're
Nagy just got here, and so
Nagy will get a raise.
The rest of those offensive guys are seem like they're all in their early 30s.
Yeah, and I think Andy Heck's, up there. He's
okay. That's true. Yeah.
But I like the expenditures by Clark Hunt. I think it's important you build stability. Again, it doesn't sound like the fact they kept Joe Cullen tells me that, and they signed Spags to a 3-year extension. Cullen turned down an opportunity to be defensive coordinator in Michigan. He basically told the Seattle Seahawks he's not interested. He doesn't want to go anywhere. He knows that he's the heir apparent. This is a good organization. His family likes it here. I think that's all great. Now, the big question will be going forward, will Clark Hunt open the pocketbooks for the players that they're going to need to three-peat? We're going to debate that all the way up until the beginning, the first week of free agency, because I think the Chiefs, this is what I'm told, same people who told me that Andy Reid would get an extension, is that I believe the Chiefs are going to be more aggressive than people think. And I think their goal is to find 2 wide receivers before the draft that they can add into the mix, get them working with Patrick right away, and then see what the draft unfurls. They will get Chris Jones signed. I would be shocked if it doesn't happen. And I think they have a better chance with Snead now. The only concern is the stability of his knee. Can it hold up for a 4 or 5 year contract? That's going to be the biggest issue. But there is at least a crack in the door that the Chiefs either going to tag him or have a good chance at getting him. So at the end of the day, Clark Hunt is putting his money where it belongs. He understands his place in history. And, I even was told by somebody in the organization that, they expect to win the three-peat, but they don't want to be compared to the Green Bay Packers, who won 1 year before the Super Bowl, and then Super Bowl 1 and 2. So they won 3. They're going to do whatever it takes to get 4 in a row. So I love it. I think it's great confidence. I'm just this is just so much fun to be a part of right now.
If
Clark real quick, Lou. Kareem says this real quick. Great for Andy. Where is he on y'all list? Think he passed Shula and Wash for me? He says at 2.
At 2. So who is it?
Yeah.
1?
Well, Belichick's number one.
Right.
Belichick's
Is he though?
not the best. Yeah, well, whatever. Anyway, go ahead, Lou.
No, I was going to say, if Clark didn't have the thirst and the appetite to, like you said, know his place in history and to really kind of cement the Hunt family name to become synonymous with the NFL, if it isn't already.
Right.
This is it. He's showing you that these guys not only are great leaders, they'll tell you the same thing. They're great teachers.
Right.
Every single one of these guys, and the Packers used to do a great job of this, and I think they still do to a degree. And I've been saying it for the last few weeks in terms of just draft and develop, because they've got the program rolling, and you've got actual guys that are willing to and love to teach the game to some of these young guys that have all the ability. You see other organizations where these young guys, if they don't pan out right away, they're done. It's like rinse and repeat. We'll go get somebody else. And that can work to some degree, but you're not going to start stringing championships if you're not drafting and developing your own dudes. It just history shows you that that's the way you got to do it.
Yep.
So what y'all think about Eric Bieniemy going into UCLA?
That shocked me. That shocked me for real.
About that.
Why did it shock you?
MJD's happy.
I would have thought I want him to come back to Kansas City. I ain't gonna lie. I want him to come back to Kansas City.
Never gonna happen. Is that? That's the only reason it shocked you?
Yeah, because why not? Why not bring Bieniemy back?
There's no place for him here. They kicked him out the door. Let's have the truth come out today on this show. They orchestrated this whole thing in Washington between Andy Reid and their head coach, and it was Nagy was going to be the guy. Nagy's the guy that worked with Patrick Mahomes and ran most of the offense, in the Super Bowl 2 years ago. They were done with him. And just because they had a meeting with him when he was in town, to meet with the team, everybody jumped on again. My buddy Mike Florio said there's a possibility he was coming back. There was no possibility he was coming back to the Chiefs. I said a couple weeks ago, I thought going to the college ranks would be the best move for him. His window to become an NFL head coach is closed. His best chance is to become an NFL coach at the college level. He's going to be in the Big Ten with big bad UCLA. They've got a new young coach, a lifer UCLA guy in Deshaun Foster. They're a perfect combination. They're a perfect mix. Eric will get a chance to become a head coach in college. He should have taken the Colorado job 3 years ago, but he turned it down because he thought he was going to be Andy Reid's successor. If Andy retired after this year, Eric Bieniemy would be on the list, but he wouldn't get the job. So that ship has sailed. I think Eric was a good coach. I loved his fire and his tenacity. But at the end of the day, the last 2 years, even when Eric was here for one of those years, it was Andy Reid and Matt Nagy and Patrick Mahomes who took over the offense. And that can't be lost here because if they missed him so much this past year, they wouldn't have won the Super Bowl. They didn't skip a beat. He did his job. He was given every opportunity. He had what 21 interviews now to become a head coach, and some teams 2 and 3 times. Didn't even come close to getting any of those jobs. So I wish him the best. I think he's a good person. I think going to college and being that fiery, in-your-face guy with young men. I mean, can you imagine if Eric Bieniemy walks in your house for young kid recruiting? You're going to leave that meeting knowing I'm going to UCLA. I want to play for this guy. And I think that's what UCLA is getting. And kudos to him for swallowing his pride and having the opportunity to go to a really, historic program at UCLA.
Well, he'd been there before, right? As I was talking about, MJD, Maurice Jones-Drew was one of his guys back in the day at UCLA. And I'm sure he's very happy and may have even been instrumental in kind of brokering the deal or helping with Deshaun Foster, who also was a great running back at UCLA.
Good pro too.
So the only thing I was thinking where there was a chance, Nick, at him coming back. I mean, if you recall back when Andy brought Childress back to kind of be like a special offensive assistant, he was up in the booth. He wasn't calling plays, but kind of, I think, ushered them towards when they had Alex Smith and they brought in kind of that pistol offense. And they did the same thing with Coach Alt from Nevada, who had the pistol with Colin Kaepernick, and they would just tend to bring in guys just to kind of be like the idea guy, to watch college, watch high school, what's happening with these kids at younger ages, and what can we do to incorporate into it. Now, if they feel that they didn't need that, then obviously maybe they had that conversation and it was kind of put to bed, and he just, look for an opportunity and to work with college kids. I mean, he's a teacher too, I mean, I think that's his favorite thing to do is take these young guys and get them ready to roll and get them ready for the league.
Well, he did the only thing he could do. Go ahead, Hense.
Yeah. So what are people saying in the chat about this, Dre?
Real quick, Kareem again says I said he should have took the Colorado job, and they told me it's insulting. Bay feels a lot more insulting now.
Yeah.
I don't know, guys. That's a good point you made, Nick. You too, Lou. I just feel like I like being to me. A lot of guys can't handle the way he conducts himself. Like as far as how he approached the game, like with that type of pressure, a lot of guys ain't used to that. Because when the Commanders came out, they was acting like crybabies, and I was like, bro, y'all grown men. Like, I'm like, what's the issue? Like the man got rings over Kansas City, and he's well respected. So it's kind of shocked me that he went to UCLA. So, but again, I mean, like if that's the best fit for him, hey, by all means, go for it, man.
He's with the right coach. I mean, it's a good fit for him. It was a solid move.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Congratulations. Keep it coming. It's not always a step back. It's always a step forward, no matter what situation.
Right. However you look at it.
However you look at it. So looking at this now, it's reports that's coming out, that, Justin Jefferson is up in the trade block. A lot of people saying that the Chiefs are interested in. A lot of people saying that the Raiders are interested. A lot of people are saying, some other teams are interested. But everybody knows he looks better in the Chiefs uniform. So what do you guys? What do you guys say about that?
I'm all in. I said this last week on the show. I went on, I think Friday. I said, I think Justin Jefferson has a really good chance to become a Kansas City Chief. I think that his agent is going to demand a trade to a contender. And I know that Jefferson has a lot of respect for Patrick Mahomes.
I'm sorry. I just noticed there was only one F on the back of his jersey. Sorry.
I know. It's all right.
Silly.
So we are talking about the real Justin Jefferson, not the fake one. But at the end of the day,
it's a Latin Jefferson.
Yeah,
I think the Chiefs are gonna make a bold move. I think it's gonna be a move people are gonna be surprised with. They've only got 6 draft picks this year. I would not be surprised if they partnered with 2 of them and 1 next year to get Justin Jefferson. We'll see if it happens or not. But he is going to be shopped. T. Higgins is being shopped, even though he was officially given the franchise tag today. They are asking for a 1 and a 2 or 1 and a 3. So I don't know what teams are going to pay that. It's not going to be Kansas City because the Bengals will never trade him to Kansas City because they have to give whoever gets him has to give him a fat new contract. But Jefferson, to me, it's the number 1 get. I know based on people I've spoke to, that his interest level to play with Patrick Mahomes is pretty high. And I think they have a relationship.
I don't mean to laugh, but I mean, any receiver out there has to look at this team or this playing with Patrick and saying, yeah, that might be all right.
That's not the case, though. It hasn't been the case the last 2 years. And that's probably going to change now that you get to chase
they
history.
still want to get paid though, Nick, and that's where I would caution the talk or rushing to this. Oh, we got to get Justin Jefferson. We traded away our $25 to $30 million receiver for a reason. Didn't want to pay him.
Reasons. There were other reasons. There was not just the money.
I'm sure there were. It wasn't just money. It never is, because he's had kind of his, let's say, issues in the past. But my thing is this, and I think we were talking about this before the show, is if you bring in this receiver into this team, not saying that he would never fit, but now you're the
Athan fit
morphing. Right. Spell his name right for one. So
the disrespect.
I think what you're doing is now you're morphing your team again, which I see that they have a need at wide receiver, and they need somebody that has speed, can track the deep ball, and it checks every box, Justin Jefferson. But you're also buying, okay, we have to game plan 15 targets to this guy every single game.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's where, with the changes in defenses, the way they're playing against Patrick and now against other big time quarterbacks, where again, they're playing too deep, playing too high, whatever, and it's slowing guys down. I don't know that it's worth the money to go get this guy. And we'll talk about some of these receivers in the draft. Not that they'll ever be as good as Justin Jefferson, but they can produce enough for this team to make it easier for the offense to move. And Veach and having to give away a bunch of draft capital, and then on top of that, paying him top dollar. It just doesn't feel right to me. I just don't feel that this is his move to make.
Right.
So basically, Frank says this. He said that's the problem with stars like JJ. He would demand $35 million a year, long term, mostly guaranteed. He's one injury and the cap is lost.
Toast.
Yeah, but he wants a ring.
But again,
I'm sure he does. Yeah.
Again, he wants a ring. Yes, he will look good in a Chiefs uniform. Yes, he'll be great. But are you going to jeopardize the future, for that? Are you going to jeopardize, all them picks to go get them and pay them all that money? Because you're going to have to pay Nick Bolton. You're going to have to pay Creed Humphrey. You're going to have to pay Trey Smith. Them guys are coming up. Then you got Justin Reid is on the 1 year. He going to need an extension.
Contract year's undefeated.
He's he's going to be a great safety. Then you're going to have McDuffie going to be coming up pretty soon. So, are you going to tie all that money into him, or you can go get some of these, like we said?
Those are rich people problems. Hense.
Yeah, that's why Clark Hunt's a billionaire. I mean, his franchise.
Yeah, he gonna set the record straight. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
he gonna make some moves.
Like some of these guys coming out the draft, like Brian Thomas Jr. that I really like. He's 6'4", 205 pounds. So I think he'll fit the scheme very well for the Kansas City Chiefs. If the Chiefs picking there at 32, or
he went to LSU.
And he went to LSU, you know what I mean? So you jump up in front of you trade up in front of the Bills at 27 where the Cardinals are picking, and let the Cardinals drop back and get extra picks, maybe that'll happen. But this guy is jumping up the boards. I think he's going to go up, like speaking of the combine that's happening that start this week, I think his numbers going to go up even higher.
Probably.
He probably be picked in the top 20 maybe. So what you guys got to say about him?
Well, I think that's one of the interesting things we're going to see at the combine is how these guys separate themselves. We talked about, I think last week, where, if you've got a group of players, like a cluster of players, you've got at the top, I guess the conventional wisdom right now is Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze, and Malik Neighbors. Those are the top three receivers. Now you got the next cluster, and one of those guys, you talked about Brian Thomas, you got Troy Franklin in there, you got Worthy and Mitchell from Texas, you got Keon Coleman from Florida State, Tez Walker from UNC, my guy Roman Wilson, who I'd like to see in that cluster, but I don't.
That's your guy there, Lou.
I don't know. I don't know if he's quite there, but I'm very interested to see these guys run, see what they run, Anymore, they run the 40, but anymore, you get GPS numbers from the colleges. And I think, in pads, in game situations, I think you really get a better gauge as to what a guy's true game speed is. So again, the 40 is important, but I think those GPS numbers are even more important. But again, that's what I'm looking for, to see these bottom guys try to separate themselves on the field. Now, again, it's the underwear Olympics, whatever you want to call it.
Olympics.
But here they are on the same field together. And if you see things that, I didn't realize this guy gets out of his breaks that much quicker. Oh my God, this guy, we thought he was a 4.3 guy. He's running 4.5, two 40s in a row. I mean, is he really as fast as we think he is? So a lot of these things come, but yeah, I mean, Brian Thomas, you'd have to say any one of these guys you could see, the Chiefs being interested in. The thing that really gets me is that there's so many of them that, again, crafty GM, I want value. Maybe I trade out of this spot. It's the last pick in the first round. Do I want that extra, that 5th-year option, or can I move back, get extra picks, and maybe get the guy I wanted in the first place, but I only have him for 4 years. So he seems to like the second round for wide receivers, McCole, Rasheed, Sky. So maybe that's something that happens. But to answer your question, I like him a lot. I like all those guys. I think there's really a plethora that you can choose from.
Yeah. My thing is this, to me, in the right now in the combine, it's catching. If we're talking wide receivers, it's catching. Can you catch? Get out your breaks fast enough? To me, I don't really go off speed, because to me, like Jerry Rice didn't have breaker, like in his combine, he wasn't that fast, but he had game breaking speed on the field, right? So my thing is, can you get out your breaks and do you have good hands? Because if you're catching, if you're dropping like 3 to 4 balls in a row, your stock going down because they don't trust your hands, So my thing is this: I look at getting out your breaks and look at your quality of your hands. Do you have good hands? Right?
So is you gonna think about Brian Thomas? Did you think he's gonna separate himself, or you think he's gonna go back? Is he gonna stay in that range from the 20, 23 on down to 32, or is he gonna stay in that range from the 15 to 20 range where they have him at going to the Houston Texans?
I think he stays just because there's so many guys. I don't know that any of them are going to rise that much, especially if a bunch of receivers go quickly, because then you'll see teams be like, okay, we're going to play chicken.
Get a wide receiver. Yeah, we got to get a wide receiver.
We're going to wait, or somebody's going to jump to be the first one. Yeah. Remember last year when you thought, where are the receivers? Why aren't they going? And then once one went, then it was bang, 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 right? And Jigba and all those guys, they would Zay Flowers, it was like bang, bang, bang.
Well, I think going on Andre's point too, it's he's right. You don't need a Tyreek Hill speed receiver. You need a guy who knows how to accelerate in open space.
There you go.
And that's why Rice was so successful. And this is all Rice did in college. He was their number one at SMU, but he accelerated in space. Now he's not fast. He's not gonna beat you the end zone on a 50-yard run. He's gonna get caught, but he knows what to do with the ball when he's got a safety in a corner coming, and he can make moves and he has power. And I think if you look at the Chiefs overall offensively, their success the last 2 years, it's been yards after the catch. And they have excelled at that with all of their receivers, because I think the longest pass in the Super Bowl outside of the McCole Hardman for Mahomes was what? On average, 5-6 yards in total, 7 yards, and I think that's the way this offense is going to be. So you want guys who can sit in a zone and they can accelerate. And the more bodies you have, like a Brian Thomas, again, last time they drafted LSU wide receiver is Dwayne Bowe, he had a pretty decent career in Kansas City and one of their better wide receivers in franchise history. So you can never go wrong from programs that have wide receivers that excel. Texas, to me, has got a pair of really talented wide receivers that I think are going to be there when the Chiefs, are in the 32 range. Xavier Worthy, to me, man, I love this kid. He's a little slight of build, but his route running reminds me a lot of Rice as far as how they can cut on a dime, how they understand open spaces. He can accelerate through, after contact. He's probably one of the best slant guys coming out of this draft. So for me, the question is there going to be a run on receivers where there's 5 or 6 picked in a row that force the Chiefs to say, okay, I got to move up to get one of these guys. Here comes the run. We didn't see that run coming last year. We're all sitting there, why are wide receivers coming off the board?
Yeah.
Why? And it was, I think, pick 20, and it went through 20 through 25, and the Chiefs tried to get in there, but they couldn't get it done. Who knows which receiver they were going to target. But I think Zay Flowers was the first, right? And he went to the Ravens, and then it just kind of snowballed after that. And so that's the key. Can we find the right fit? And again, it depends what they do in free agency. Do they go after? There's a lot of talk about the Bears wide receivers. Name's escaping me. I'm sorry.
Darnell Mooney.
Yeah, Mooney is a big possibility because of his familiarity with Nagy, and he had a lot of success with Nagy in that offense. So again, what Veach decides to do is going to determine it. But even if they get a top shelf wide receiver, I would not rule them going first or second round with another wide receiver because I think their receiving cores are limited, Andre.
You know what? Nick got a good point. Nick got a good point. Nick got a good point real quick. Nick said the yak.
Before you go right into that, let's get right into the next sponsor.
All right, let's do that. Yeah, I want to talk about my good friend, Mr. Dave Purdy with Supreme. You can reach Dave at 816-405-5831. He is your mortgage specialist. If you need someone who can navigate your financial situation, your employee status, whether you're a W-2 or you're a 1099, and there's a big difference in the loan world on how mortgages get done. You have to have somebody with experience, somebody who has a plethora of mortgage options for you that give you every possible scenario to find the right fit for your family, your finances, your budget, and make sure that this is a loan that not only works today, but can work a year from now when you probably will refinance when rates go lower. Rates have stabilized again. Housing prices are going up. It's a great time to buy a house, and it's a great time to find someone who knows the numbers. And that's our good friend Dave Purdy. Reach him at 816-405-5831. We love Dave because he is
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Absolutely. All right, Andre, we cut you off, so go on.
You're good. So, Nick, you had a good point about the way Andy Reid runs his offense, the way Nagy Andy Reid runs his offense. They're like yak guys. So I look at Troy Franklin from Oregon. Perfect fit, 6'3", perfect build, similar to Rice, right? Mm-hmm. Good speed on him. He can get separation. He is a yak guy. I can see him going to Kansas City.
And he beats zones. He beats all that.
He's his own beater.
Absolutely. So I can see him, honestly, going to Kansas City if he's there. I can see him going to Kansas City.
Well, they say you build your receiving core almost like a basketball team. So they want to get somebody. Now, again, I think Darnell Mooney might be the key to this, or if Tyler Lockett becomes free and he's your over the top guy. Then you look at another receiver like this to be a little bit more the yak guy, but they do need that over the top threat that they thought it was going to be MVS. I don't know. It depends on what they decide with him.
Where's number 11? So number 11 will be available for
him. There you go. I don't think they're going to cut him as easily. I don't think they're going to cut him as. I'm not seeing that yet. I think they restructure his deal.
Yeah, so there's decisions to be made before I think we can get into it. But I think, again, you can make a case for just about any one of these young receivers that, again, a lot of it is going to become above the shoulders, or what does Spags say, chin to hairline. Basically, who can kind of become Patrick friendly, who can read defenses and make the right adjustments in the route running and kind of take on the responsibility of being one of Patrick's receivers, which is a lot more than just, reading a play out of the playbook and seeing how it's drawn up on paper. It's not always exactly that way. And it could be for every other team as well. I'm sure it is, but just kind of have that feel, not quite the Travis is, as close as it is with Travis, but along those lines.
Right.
So what you think about the other receivers? I know with Nick, I seen your face, Lou, when Nick was talking about Xavier Worthy. So what you really think about it?
I've seen him drop a few, and I've got some PTSD with guys that drop balls. Worthy's a great athlete. He may become a great pro receiver. But if I had to choose, I might go with AD Mitchell. It was great at Georgia. Was even better at Texas when obviously they throw the ball a hell of a lot more in Sark's offense. So I would say AD Mitchell over him again in terms of building that basketball team. Now you got a second power forward.
He's your T. Higgins. He's your T. Higgins at a much cheaper price.
Hey guys, good point, Good point, because he is 6'4", like Nick not Nick.
And we'll find out for sure if these measurements are on, because everybody's going to get measured and weighed here.
I feel sorry for these guys
because some of those program numbers might be a little inflated. I'm just saying.
I don't know how they do. I mean, when I went to my first NFL combine, we go into this massive hall, and there's like hundreds of coaches, hundreds of scouts, hundreds of general manager, hundreds of assistant coaches, everything. And here these guys come out in their skivvies. I'm talking underwear only. And they're out there doing their body poses. Or some guys just have some, like the offensive linemen wear a hoot because, they don't have the most physique, natural body you need to play offensive line. They got some girth to them. But I'm thinking there, I'm surprised someone didn't go up there and say, turn your head and cough. It just was like, it was crazy to me to see the meat market that it is. But you know what? Coaches and scouts and evaluators, their jobs are on the line to make sure they get the right kind of guys, and they will check every detail necessary.
And prod and medicals and MRIs, X-rays.
And the 15 minutes and the Wonderlic test and all these things that they do. It's just
they might as well run naked then, huh? They might as well go out there and just run butt naked and just run.
I have heard rumblings that that's happened a few times. So
underwear Olympics.
Yeah, it's the underwear.
Chris Jones had a little wardrobe.
Yeah, he had a little sausage fest. Then he the package came loose, man.
What about the comments about who they should pick or what about some of these receivers, sir?
Well, Kareem says he said Malachi Corley will be a fringe number 1 first rounder by the draft time. He's talking about Yak. They call him the Yak guy. Not much of a route tree though, but he's similar to Debo 2.0.
Yeah, Debo has struggles with the route tree too. He always has. Good point.
All right, Frank says this too. Let me see real quick. Frank says in 24, I fear the offense will figure out you can run against the Kansas City Chiefs. Must block the run D and get Mike Pennell signed and Drew signed up. So basically saying the Chiefs, they show some weakness that teams can't run on them. So he said immediately get these guys signed.
Get those blue guys, man.
But inexplicably, the 2 best running teams in the NFL decided not to do it. I don't get it.
Because that's all because of Spags. Look, I've watched the games over and over again.
That's what I'm saying.
And I watched
it doesn't take much you don't have to figure it out. It's another thing going on in executing when he stacks the line and they don't know who's coming, who's dropping out.
It's gap defense.
I hear what you're saying, Frank, and I hear you. I believe you, but it's again just trust in Spags.
You got to
trust.
What you guys think, Nick? What you would say?
The gap defense that he, like I go back to the Ravens game, and Jackson has that long run because Nick Bolton was in his gap and he got spun around by the neck and there was no call, or else that negates that run. And they filled the gaps. They had 2 guys that were either going to blitz or fill the gap and fill the hole. And they worked really hard in the postseason in every game, Miami, Buffalo, Baltimore, and in the Super Bowl. They made the runners go side to side because everything in the middle was blocked up. And, Pennell is a hero. He's a superstar. What he did in the last 2 games at Baltimore and against San Francisco, he had more tackles behind the line of scrimmage than he'd had his entire career. In the last 2 games, I think he had 6 before, and he had a total of 7 or number of tackles at the line of scrimmage, whatever it was. But, people forget he was there when they won the first Super Bowl, and his work was incredible at stopping the run. So I think he's key. I think Tranquil is key. I think those guys will get reasonable contracts. They're not going to want to go anywhere else. Tranquil has just made it very clear that he wants to stay in Kansas City. And Pennell, he's 30, 31, bring him back. You got nothing.
I like
to lose.
Pennell, man.
They're going to draft it. They're going to draft a young.
The only thing with him getting signed is that I don't know that they believe that he's like a full year player.
He doesn't have to be.
That's what I'm saying. In the Super Bowl runs, it's normally like near the end of the year. Then all of a sudden, he gets inserted into a kind of almost like a star role in the middle of the defense during the playoff runs. And if he's willing to hang out on the practice squad for most of the season and just get called up when they need him, sure, absolutely.
Well, they also they'll limit his snaps, and they'll work if they think he can play all season long, they'll devise a plan.
Yeah. It's hard to see it because you think if that were the case, I think they would have done it after the first Super Bowl, right? I mean, just to kind of, hey, this guy's a key part of the run defense, but
they love Derek Nottie a lot, but he's a free agent.
He's like Mr. January and February.
Yeah.
So what y'all think about Snead post over the weekend on Instagram? It's got the a lot of people upward. They think he's going with the Eagles. They think he's landing with the Eagles because he posted him flying like an Eagle with a hashtag Eagle at the bottom of the thing. So what, a lot of people said, hey, Lentz spoke and said, hey, give the Eagles, fifth round, the 50th pick, 149th pick in this draft, for Jerry Snead. Now,
not enough. Not even close to enough. That's an insanely small package for arguably the best. I mean, sorry, Lance, disagree with you 100% on that one.
Small package.
I would say, okay, come on. I would say at a minimum a 2-3 in a 2025 pick, but I think the Chiefs will tag him. Will they make a trade with the Eagles? I don't know. I think it's going to be tough for the Chiefs to want to make a deal with the Eagles. But if he goes there and takes their money, he ain't winning a Super Bowl in Philadelphia. So it doesn't matter to him, it seems.
Out of conference, if they're going to do it, is fine. But again, I mean, everybody's negotiating now. I mean, every little thing, any leverage you think you have, you got to lay into it because, again, this is it. This is going to be his big payday, and there probably won't be another one coming. The only thing is that Philadelphia hasn't had a great history of these moves they've made with their defensive backs. They've brought guys in, and the results haven't been great. I mean, Slade's had some decent games, I guess, in parts of the season. Bradbury a little bit here and there, but all the moves they've made, it really hasn't, I guess, brought them what they expected it would. So they might back off of making another trade for a high priced corner.
I think he put the wrong bird. I think it was a Cardinal. That's why I think the 27th pick.
You keep stating that he's going to the Cardinals. We ain't trading for no Snead.
27 pick for Jerry Snead. We will be happy with that.
We'll see. We'll see what happens. But at this point, I think the Chiefs have a shot. But I would expect at this point they're gonna tag him and look to move him.
Slide that big number across the table, baby.
Yeah, it's only I mean the cap number is relatively low, so I think with the extra cap space they have, but listen, Snead has never been in this position before. As you said, Hense, he's got a chance to get a massive payday. Kudos to him, props to him for being able to be in a position to do it. He got paid like almost about $1 million last year as his fourth year in the National Football League. So, I mean, he's probably made about $6 million and change so far in his career. That's going to be a quarter of a year's pay, next year. And get all the money you can, Snead. I mean, I'm with you, brother. If you can get it, and
money, man, get your money.
And you have cemented your place in Kansas City Chiefs history as one of the best cornerbacks the franchise has ever had. in just 4 years. 2 Super Bowl rings. I'm sorry, 3 Super Bowl rings. No, stop.
He wasn't on that team, was he?
Marcus.
No, I'm sorry. He's got 3. He's got 2.
It's 2.
Marcus Peters.
Marcus Peters. Yeah, no.
Stop.
That's why they drafted Snead because they let Peters go. That was one of the reasons.
Didn't they take Bo Pete Keys ahead of Legarius? I remember there was a couple. They took a couple of corners that draft, and he was the one that kind of worked out, which was kind of cool because he had played safety and corner at where is he from? La Tech.
Yeah, Louisiana Tech.
So yeah, but that's why I'm looking. You look for history to repeat itself. Somebody like a Shamari Connor, can he do it?
I think you can.
I'm not going to bet against. I'm not betting against Veach.
No,
not happening.
No. So and Dave Merritt, because I mean he's doing some wonders with these kids. I mean, it really is. These guys have matured, developed. They're great players.
One guy that has been getting good is Joshua Williams, and I was very high on him coming out.
He's going to have a breakout year next year. He's going to have to play really well. And Cook will be back.
He's going to have to be consistent. He's going to have to be consistent for me this year. I want to see him.
He made some big plays down the stretch, and he didn't get burned all that often.
He's
the last 6 weeks since you dogged him.
It really didn't, though. Yeah. He
turned his season around. Absolutely.
He did.
Speaking about turning the season around, let's get right into the sponsors before we close out. Go ahead.
All right, let's talk about first and foremost, Mr. Eric Haynes with the Eric Haynes Group. You can give Eric a call at 816-729-3785 or esaleskc@gmail.com. He is your trusted real estate advisor. He will walk you from start to finish. He will answer his phone. He will answer his text. He will make sure that you're protected in trying to find a house. I can't thank him enough for what he has done for me and Mrs. Chief Splits getting this deal put together. We appreciate him a great deal. He's also a good friend. I've known him for decades, and he's definitely someone that we trust, and we're appreciative that he's one of the sponsors. So give Eric Haynes a call at 816-729-3785.
Proud sponsor, Chief who?
Yes, another proud sponsor is Mr. Dave Purdy. Give Dave a call at 816-405-5831. Dave is a mortgage specialist, superstar as far as I'm concerned. If you're W-2 or you're 1099, Dave can make sure that he finds the right loan for you and your family and your budget. If you're looking to consolidate your credit cards that are in the 25 to 30% range and you've got equity in your house, you may have a better rate than the current market, but have him analyze the numbers and see if you might be able to pay some of that debt off and absorb it into your equity of your house. He is an expert at that, so give him a call. Again, Dave Purdy at 816-405-5831. We love Dave because he is pretty good. All right.
All right, real quick, let me give a shout out to Kareem, St. Clair, Frank. Let's see who else is on here, guys. Let's see, Joe. I seen Joe. And Donna Woolard.
Hey, Donna.
Joe had a comment in there. Did you pull that back? It looks like something we should dig into.
It's an L.
She just loves the show.
Hey, Joe.
I thought you said Donna. I said, man, Donna left an L. Okay. Good. Say good morning, fellas. Let's see what else Joe put on here, guys.
He had something that might have had some meat on it.
Yeah, I'm see. It wasn't a rib. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
They have
here it
two. Okay, go ahead.
I got it. Hold on. I would give my liver straight.
There you go.
There's your meat. It got some protein on it though.
Just a little bit of your liver.
Hey Joe, maybe a kidney. If you give your liver, I don't think you'll live.
Yeah, that would be good.
Let's go with the kidney. You're not gonna watch the game missing a liver, sir.
What if we give up an extra? What if we give up an extra F? Do you think he'd come for that?
He might.
I'll give up Drake.
And F and a lot of dollar signs. He's a chief.
I'll give up Drake in a peanut butter jar.
You know what? I would give him Hense 2 big toes. I'll give him two big toes on the split.
It's a good thing we love this show and we have a good time. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of Four Guys in a Bar presented by Chief Splits. Check us out at chiefsplits.com. Please subscribe at our YouTube channel at Chief Splits. It's that simple. Subscribers are going up. Popularity of the show is growing. We appreciate everybody. And this is the best time to be a Chiefs fan, not only for the Super Bowls, but the offseason. Nobody's going to bring you analysis like we are. Nobody's going to break this all down for you. Nobody's going to talk you inside what's going around league circles better than we can. So this is going to be a one-stop shop. So guys,
all right,
until Wednesday, go ahead.
Right. Real
All
quick,
right,
Nick.
more.
I know.
You're good.
Getting down. All right. So Trahan says, no, don't want Jeffries. And Sam says, laugh out loud. And your boy Joe says, sacrifice, brothers. So you got to sacrifice what you want.
Taking one for the team. Taking one for the team, Joe.
Repeat.
Peanut butter jars. And
we will appreciate you, Joe, at your funeral.
Take the jersey off the chair. Take the Tyreek Hill jersey off.
Drink up, gang. It's 5 o'clock.
Dude.